You know? Hey, sweet pea.
2 minutes.
You know I love you.
2 minutes.
Yeah, what y'all find out there? I'm telling you, I'm behind the 8 ball at my office trying to get ready for something. Well, I thought we talked about that we were going to bring this up to the standard we wanted it, and I don't think we should find him. I think we need to talk some more about it. Do you? I just,
You know what I mean?
no, I just don't want to slap a fine on somebody, and it's kind of a hardship. He can't afford to pay. I can tell you. Yeah, I know.
He wasn't there when we went by.
What would
Hey,
you do
30
with a
seconds.
8-year-old woman? You know?
Hey, Kim, are we up on live stream? Okay. They kept it warm for you.
So I got March 12th.
I like the fact, Tom, that you're like always on point.
Well, you know, I'm slower. I have to be.
All right.
It's
All right, let's get this going. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming out. Good showing. Really like that. And for those who aren't here watching on live stream, thanks a lot as well. So we have tonight Molly to lead us in the invocation. Please.
Let us pray. Father, I ask you to be with Mayor Benson and the sitting council persons this evening as they execute the business agenda that has been placed before them. Thank you for their continued effort and care of the town of Carolina Beach. In Jesus' name, I humbly ask and pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Molly. Okay. Yeah, we have a quorum here. Tom, Leanne.
Yeah, we do. Barely.
With that, we've seen what we've got to do tonight. I make a motion to adopt the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And before I motion, any comments on the consent? Either of you guys?
No, I
Not
don't.
for me.
Okay. So I'll motion to adopt the consent agenda, but moving item 3B to 7C for consideration. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. Okay, moving into special presentations, of which we have 6 tonight. First up is an employee recognition.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to ask Rick Eisenhower to come forward. Hey, Rick. And Rick has been with the town for 15 years, and he's worked in our building maintenance and maintenance our facilities all across the town. Worked on the Greenway, worked on a lot of construction projects that have been going on throughout town, the new boat docks that are going in, and a lot of fun working with him. Always a great demeanor, and been great to have you for the last few years, or 15 years.
Thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, Gloria Garton. You have a. Oh, sorry.
So I can see everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gloria Garton, and I'm the director at Disability Resource Center. And with me is Robert Ronnie. He is the chair of our organization and really the reason why Disability Resource Center exists. We are located on New Center Drive in Wilmington. However, we serve 5 counties. But we're here tonight because as an organization that advocates for people with disabilities to be included in all parts of their community, whether it's work, where they live, where they play and have fun. We want everyone to be able to enjoy their community. And what Carolina Beach has done to make your community fun and enjoyable and most importantly accessible for everyone really deserves a lot of recognition. I don't know how many of you are familiar with how the process of accessing beach wheelchairs works in other communities, but Carolina Beach has went above and beyond to make beach wheelchairs accessible. They built a beautiful boardwalk. We were there for that wonderful event that's also accessible. And we have met a lot of very fine people from Carolina Beach in the 10 years that Disability Resource Center has been open. You have set the standard high, and you've become a role model for others in the surrounding areas to show that having a beach wheelchair mat is not only the right thing to do, it's the right thing for your community, it's the right thing for economic reasons, but most importantly, it's the right thing to be able to allow your people that live here and the people that come to visit your beach can all enjoy it. So Bob and I are here tonight to recognize you, and you know what is ironic is Eric and Kevin were supposed to come to a very special event the week after the Hurricane Florence hit. So this event was supposed to take place all the way back in September, and here we are. You know, the summer season's just right around the corner. So if Eric and Kevin could please come up, we'd like to give you something special on behalf of the Disability Resource Center.
Hey, Eric, invite them all up.
Yeah, come on, guys. Look at that crew. That's phenomenal.
I see a lot of green shirts out there. I brought one of my own.
So, real quick, so the town of Carolina Beach received this award, and it wouldn't make sense for us to receive it without the help of, obviously, without honoring Ocean Cure. These people have put ridiculous amounts of hours sweeping the sand off a boardwalk on the beach that made it accessible for everybody, and it's really, really, truly amazing what they've done. Once that boardwalk was put down, every time you visited the beach, there was somebody there in a wheelchair, a walker, utilizing it throughout the entire summer. And it's pretty awesome what Kevin and his crew did. So,
yeah, I mean, obviously, if it wasn't for them every single morning, waking up at 6 a.m., in the evening sweeping it, but every moment, you know, same as Eric said, when we went down and you saw someone on the mat using it, it just made every second worth it. And I literally right before we came over, I just ordered another 1,000 square feet so that we can have even more up there. So we're very thankful to everybody.
Awesome job, guys. We appreciate that. Well deserved.
Yeah, and Steve and Jodan, who couldn't be there, send their best as well. Thank you, guys.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity for us to recognize one of our officers. This officer is receiving his 5-year certificate with us, with the Carroll Beach Police Department. Also, in that short amount of time, just as recently last year, he was recognized today for an act with the Wilmington Downtown Rotary Club for an act of heroism. Just last year, this officer responded to a call of one of our citizens that became unresponsive in Carolina Beach Avenue South and was discovered by the officer unresponsive without a pulse and performed CPR. I'm happy to report that that patient made a full recovery and is still with us today. And New York County EMS gave kudos to him for being a direct reflection on her being with us today. So on behalf of his award of service above self and his 5 years, Colby Edens.
Thanks, Colby. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
So we've got a new event to discuss. Who's briefing this one, Ed?
Brenda, is that you?
Festival.
Okay, I guess the event, okay, come on.
Well, I love coffee mugs,
Love
so.
swag, too. All right. Thank you. I'll take Steve's and Jodan's. They didn't, well, they didn't want it.
There's a clicker by chance.
They can probably walk you through it as you need.
Well, first of all, good afternoon. We really appreciate the time set aside for us. My name is Anna, and I come here representing Legrand radio station. We are a Hispanic communications organization that strives for unity within the community. Our airwaves cover 75% of eastern North Carolina with antennas based in major cities such as Raleigh, Durham, Reidsville, Jacksonville, and Lillington. As our audience continues to grow and diversify, we have noticed a demand for an inclusive event in Carolina Beach, such as an international festival. We do excel in family events and plan to present musical entertainers, children attractions, hosts, and vendors of a wide variety of food and goods. With over 8 years of experience, we have hosted and assisted multicultural events such as Legrand's Anniversary, La Fiesta del Pueblo, and most recently, the Poor People's Campaign in Raleigh. Our most recent anniversary was actually hosted in Wilmington with an outcome of 300 people. However, we have hosted events with over 5,000 people assisting. We also have a strong social media presence, which has been a key factor in connecting us with our audience. Within the last month, our posts have reached over 2,600 people on Instagram and over 216,000 on Facebook. With this said, we hope you see us as a qualified organization to host such an event, and we do aspire for this to be the beginning of a tradition within Carolina Beach.
What's the date? Is it May 11th?
We were looking at May, however, that we were informed that that date has been taken by someone else, so we were informed that October 9th was an option.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that on the application. It looked like it.
Okay. Yeah, and we love all-season events in Carolina Beach, so that's awesome.
Yeah, within the presentation also, we have been recognized because we did actually help assist during the hurricane. Here in Wilmington, we were recognized for that. We have received a recognition from our Governor Roy Cooper. We have been also recognized by the House of Representatives of Washington, D.C. as well. So we do feel we're very suited and qualified to, organize such an event.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to approve And this is 19 October, so that we're,
Where will the event be located? I'm sorry.
We were looking at Carolina Lake.
Sorry, just curious. I assume you got Miss Brenda's stamp of approval.
I would hope so.
I want to
yeah.
If you got through her.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like we said before, you know, we definitely help out the community a lot. You know, like we said, we've helped assist in various things. Just recently, we actually helped host a get-together for food for a family that was in need. So we definitely assist in any way possible for our community in Raleigh, and also we're obviously trying to expand out here to Carolina Beach as well. So, awesome.
Look forward to having you, Anna, but before
And this is the 9th
I
or
think-
19th?
19th of October.
October 19th.
So with that, I make a motion to approve the International Festival to be scheduled on the 19th of October this year at Carolina Beach Lake. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Welcome to Carolina Beach, guys. We look forward to your event.
All right, next up in the queue, food truck and craft beer rodeo. We've got Step Up's illustrious citizen,
Oh, Lord.
Bobby McConville. Is that accurate? Maybe that was a little hyperbolic.
Good evening. Just wanted to say thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor, Council, having me in tonight. As you know, I'm core member and volunteer of Step Up for Soldiers, and we have a exciting new event that we wanted to share with the town of Carolina Beach, because Pleasure Island has been so good to Step Up for Soldiers. I'd like to announce the first annual food truck and craft beer rodeo, slated for Saturday, October 5th. Since we are the kings of off-season events for the beach, we just had our backyard barbecue. Joe, thank you for being one of our judges. How'd it go?
I ate. I didn't need to eat much after that. It was good, man. It was
Yeah.
real good.
Well, we appreciate your participation, and the town has just been outrageous to Step Up for Soldiers. It's anything we ever come up with, you guys are like almost sure. So we had a great event last week. I want to thank the town of Carolina Beach, all the maintenance people, the police that came out, the firemen that came by to check up on everybody, allowing us to use the big flag. And thanks to all the citizens that came out to participate, and it ended up being one of our best years almost ever. So we thought we'd keep on rolling and try to move forward in the sense of, you know, what's the latest new things happening that people like and people enjoy. So food trucks are real popular. I know there's been some issues, but I promise you that we will go ahead and be very delicate about how we handle the situation, and we'll also have craft beer. I've talked to the owners of Good Hops, and we've had some discussion about her helping me coordinate it as well, and I think they're going to be a major sponsor. So they've been great to the island as well. As you know, Step Up has started back in 2004 with Tom Russell, and all the money raised is a 501c that goes to all the local soldiers here in the tri-state or tri-county area. Again, the festival will be at the lake, approximately running from maybe 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., consisting of local food trucks, local microbrews, and craft vendors as well. Entertainment will probably consist of at least one live band and a DJ. It will be family friendly. I believe there will probably have an admission charge, and we'll cover all the ALE permits as usual. We'll take care of any food permits that we have to handle as well. And I think the most important thing is that the council knows that we will be inviting all the brick and mortar local restaurants to come and participate as well. So they'll have that option to advertise, set up food, or whatever they want to do. But, you know, we want them to have the opportunity to be part of it as well. And unless there's any other questions, that's what we're looking at. And I hope you guys can let us give it a shot.
Put on a good show last weekend, Bobby. Anything from staff on this, considerations? Before,
No, I see Miss Brenda nodding approval, so.
and we closed off, the town closed off the south end during the Bacon Beer and Beaches Fest, correct? Just to sort of contain with the consumption of beer and what have you.
We did. Yes, sir.
And I'll coordinate with whatever we have to do with the police and
I know you
what
would.
the ALE is.
I know you would, yep. Tom? Okay. With that, I make a motion, we approve the Step Up for Soldiers food truck and craft beer rodeo to be held at Carolina Beach Lake on October 5th of this year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Bobby. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to it.
Thanks, Bobby.
And maybe being a judge, too. See if there's any way I could get into that, or, okay. All right.
Oh, was I supposed to be introduced? Well, everybody knows.
I just saw you walk up, Brenda. Everybody knows Brenda.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Temp, and Councilwoman. I'm here to brief the events for March and April. March, this Saturday, the low tide run will be happening at the gazebo. The 10K starts at 8 and the 5K starts at 8:30. Public Safety Day is Saturday the 23rd at Fort Fisher, and it starts at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And again, that is run by the police department. Turn the Tide is Saturday the 30th on the beach from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Brenda, what is Turn the Tide?
Turn the Tide is, it's a public education. They'll have things down there to for the public on to learn about the beach. They will be doing a beach cleanup at the same time. So it's more of an informational beach.
They had that last year.
They were supposed to have that last year, and the hurricane, so
Okay, gotcha.
we're
Yep.
having everything this year.
Yeah. Makes sense.
April approved events, Seafood Blues and Jazz Festival is Saturday the 13th and Sunday the 14th at Fort Fisher, Saturday 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday from 12 p.m. to 5:40 p.m. I want to announce that the Seafood Blues and Jazz will now be held in April because October, we didn't have too much luck then with the weather.
True.
Surf Dog Experience is Saturday the 27th on the beach at the boardwalk from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. And they will have tents, and they are going to have a little beer garden. And Surf Dog, bring your dogs out, and they're going to surf. They will. I thought humans were going to surf with the dogs, but evidently your dog gets on a surfboard and will surf. So it will be a quite entertaining day. No. The low tide 5K route. This is the 5K route, I'm sorry. And this is the 10K route for the low tide. And this was not on in your packets, but the Girl Scout Troops cleanup. Over the weekend of March 9th and 10th, the following Girl Scout troops did a beach and boardwalk cleanup. Troop 4791.
Good job.
Troop 867. Troop 901. And Troop 347.
Anyone from those troops here today?
Raise your hand, Ed.
Don't be shy. Come on. Okay.
Ed
All
is
right.
from Troop
All right,
4719.
Ed. You're everywhere.
And I think that was the last slide. And I did had a request to announce for the Island Men. They are having a mac and cheese festival March 23rd at Good Hops from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Yes.
I was forced to do that, just to let you know. Is there any questions?
No, for me.
Thank you, Brenda.
You're
Very
welcome.
informative. Thank you.
Manager's update. Question is, which one?
First one I'll present, and the rest Ed will present. The beach renourishment project is going well. The contractors are expected to demobilize on Thursday, at which time Fremont Park will be closed, so they'll need a few days to make that happen. So they're expected to close throughout the weekend. There is approval for renourishment to happen through the end of Carolina Beach up until Curry Beach, so that gap by Sea Colony will be
Sorry to interrupt, Lucky, but that's basically the old Wilmington Beach.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That
Great.
all of Carolina Beach will receive renourishment, so that's
Yep.
a huge win for us.
Yep. That is a big win. That's some active citizenry, right? Tom and Island, right? So I didn't. That was good. Sorry, Lucky.
Right. Hand it over to you, Ed.
Okay. And Mayor Council, we're still working on Hurricane Florence recovery daily. Believe it or not, it is something that we're spending a lot of time on. Thank you, Debbie, and your team for continuing to work this for the community. Today, you did approve the additional expenses we've had associated with the storm. The 2 and 3 on there are monies that we're hoping to get back pretty soon. There's multiple projects. Those are probably the 2 biggest and the ones that we were able to put together and will be submitting or have submitted first. So we're hoping to get that back in our coffers very soon. The Allen Greenway is complete. So So construction was completed and DOT inspection was done Friday, and the construction signs were removed. So for all intents and purposes, it is open and operational. We'll be putting out an official press release. We're not doing the grand opening will be April 20th. So we are holding off on that and should have a big celebration on the 20th. Although it's complete, there are several amenities that we're looking to add. So there will be more things coming for the Greenway as far as signage and some additional safety features and maybe some other amenities, kiosks, those types of things.
And just for the public, Ed, April 20th is when we do our big Easter egg hunt at the Mike Chapel Park, which the rec center does. So we'll have a lot of people out. Come out. Well, we're thinking around noonish. Is that right, Eric?
Ish.
Awesome. You guys come out and we'll do a ribbon cutting. We'll walk the Greenway. If you've got children, bring them. We'll do Easter egg hunt. I believe we're going to have some kind of food. We don't know. I'm thinking hamburgers or hot dogs or, Joe?
Yeah, the Friends of the Allen Greenway volunteers. There's 14 of you out there. Well, not I know here, but super assistance offered to Bike and Ped for that idea or that suggestion,
Yes.
right?
So I'm thinking maybe there'll be hot dogs or something. It'd be a great thing to bring your family out to, and we'd love to have everybody participate. So anyway.
And I think the Easter Bunny will be there too.
Yes.
So,
Hey, Ed, regarding the Island Greenway, you and I spoke to Colonel Carlisle, second in charge, a couple weeks ago.
yes, sir.
And they indicated accelerating approval on the easement. Have you spoken to Malcolm recently?
The
Reference the desired ribbon cutting date.
They were comfortable with where we were with Friday with opening the Greenway up. The amenities, I was hoping I would have approval or a letter back from them by this meeting. So I didn't get it today, so I'm anticipating we'll get that back. He said early this week, so I'm hoping tomorrow we will have something as far as amenities. But so far it's all been good news.
And I spoke to Colonel Carlisle today about the ribbon cutting, inviting them over for that naturally, and a few other things. So good. We'll wait on that update.
Okay, next slide is the stormwater projects that we've been working on for the last few months. I just wanted to give a quick update on that. The first one is Lake Park Boulevard, which is in the vicinity of just south of Town Hall, going through Publix property and heading south and out to the Myrtle Grove Sound. So we're hoping to have the model generator for that project and Texas and Snapper. And you know, Texas and Snapper, we did get some interim fixes in that have helped, or we believe will help tremendously. We haven't had any big rain since then, but we do believe that's going to make a big difference. So both those, the models are being generated by the engineer, and their official reports and recommendations we're hoping to get as early as next month. So those two are wrapping up as far as what we contracted for. The next one is Charlotte Cape Fear 4th and 6th. All the surveying's complete and all their assessment. That one's not being modeled. It's just being assessed by the engineer for recommendations, and they'll have a report to us by the end of April. And then the 4th, Lake Park Boulevard, Goldsboro, Wilson. Same thing there. End of April, we should have a final report from the engineer. The largest one, Dow Road, 7th, from Harper to Sumter, is still probably 10 months out. Tremendous amount, you know, that was a massive area in town, and a lot of the phase E of our, or D and E, both those phases of our infrastructure improvements that we're on our long range plan for water, sewer, stormwater. So that will be a benefit. We went ahead and moved forward with that survey, and it'll be a benefit for those future projects that we had already planned out, and we'll hopefully get that information and recommendations in 10 months. We talked. Go ahead.
Are you going to keep talking about stormwater? Because I had something to throw in there. Just
yes, sir.
The visit with Brian and Mark just last week, taking a look at a few places. I sent a note, you saw it, to a broader audience. Deb, you saw it, the constraints on what we could use if we chose to go a different route than a full lake dredge and use some of what's left in the loan, which is approximately 1.2 or 1.3 million, and apply that to a broader sweep of stormwater issues, such as the ones you present right there. So in other words, it may be a partial dredge, your top 5, and some fixes on canal, the 8 or 9 flapper valves that are the new flapper valves that still have not been installed. So could we look at pricing out some options for those? And I can talk a little bit more specificity in another time to take up during our workshop in 2 weeks.
We absolutely could for the flapper valves, and then once we get those reports from the engineer and get some of those engineer estimates, we could look at for these top 5 projects. We could look at how much investing that's going to be to invest in portions or all of those. So.
And I guess we need to know if there are any funds in the budget, in the previous budget, for those items that Joe's referring to. Or are there any funds?
The flapper valves, I don't
kind of remember that, but I don't.
Okay.
Just let us know if there's. Yeah, I thought I remembered that.
So 5-year program, and we're in 2 years in, is what Mark's saying.
Because it would take a vote to not continue the lake dredge to release those funds.
Yeah,
right?
Or choose another option that might be a partial dredge that addresses the algae and the 18 inches on the east side, getting it to at least the aesthetics and a little bit more capacity. But basically what I'm proposing is a broader sweep on addressing stormwater as opposed to just one discrete item, getting some of these things accelerated. So, you know, we've admired the problem, we've come up with some engineering solutions. Maybe we can move out on 1 or 2 of these.
So maybe we could just put it on the next workshop to look into what funds we already have towards that, and then what we would need, and then maybe some discussion on the lake.
Some options. Yeah, and this would avoid addressing any of these, I think, going for another loan.
We might be able to have some, if we can have this data by before that workshop, the April workshop might be a good one to schedule.
So
Thanks,
not
Ed.
this month, but next month.
Yes, sir.
Seems more reasonable.
And sticking with stormwater issues, this is, I briefed you on this at our last meeting, but we did move forward with Matsu's approval to clean the Henniker's ditch. That is still being worked on. We have cleaned all the ditching up to about this point here. So they've got this remaining, and then all of that will be done. And then we're looking at, this says fall 2019. As part of our budget for our Public Works Department, they'll be putting in costs to do some additional work, some armoring of that ditching.
Yeah, a couple of pictures from what we've done, like I'm out there, what the town has done in terms of clearing out Henniker's ditch would go a long way towards describing how the ditch on private property would be required to maintain. As opposed to just words, somebody who has exposed Henniker's ditch on their private property could see, well, this is generally the standard.
Right.
Water flowing freely,
Right.
trees, stumps would have, cut down to 6 inches, and they'd have some idea, because right now it's still somewhat ambiguous.
And yeah,
Sure.
we probably need to talk about the certain homeowners that we talked about who had Henniker's ditch on their property. Are we going to look at bringing that to a standard for them to maintain? I know we talked about that.
We did, staff has met with them and given them a standard of here's I mean, they've given them pretty clear, here's what you have to cut as far as what size trees and vegetation has to be cut and what can remain.
Right, and we talked about that it wasn't written anywhere, so we needed to have an ordinance for that standard, right?
We have not talked about that. We do have an ordinance.
Might want to put that in the workshop then.
The town's current ordinance does include language regarding the free flow of water, so I think we're going to talk about that later tonight.
Because that's the question I was asked, where do I go look for the ordinance that tells me how I have to maintain this property?
I think the town staff can quickly point anybody to that. I've got a copy of it with me tonight also.
And we can probably then have some discussions about whether we want to assist at all on those certain anomaly type properties or not.
There's not too many, Ed, correct? I mean,
The Henniker's ditch there's very limited on private property that is open.
exposed.
So there is quite a few ditches in town that are on private property that this would also apply to. Those codes would apply to.
But those are typically smaller, right?
Much smaller. Henniker's ditch is pretty large, but most of it's piped on private property.
Well, we can put all that in the workshop.
Sure. And then the marina, the west side is still ongoing. We did get the gangways in, or the access ways, aluminum ramps. So they'll be going in, and then once they go in, we can finish off the water and electrical. There's a little bit of rubber molding that still needs to be installed. All the sewer lines have been installed to the pump out, which is on that northwest corner, so that should be able to go in the next week or so. And once we install the ramps, we'll be done. So we should be done within the next 3 weeks. We should be completely done with the west side of the marina. We are holding off on filling those slips because we're still working with FEMA on cost, and on the east and south side of the marina, we're potentially going to get funding from FEMA because they were damaged there in Florence to replace those. And if we do that, we need that west side to put those boats on from the east and south to the west side. So we don't want to fill those slips and then tell those people they there for a few weeks or month or however long, and then they have to go away. So more to come as we work with FEMA on that.
And we talked about at the last council meeting, I don't know if you wanted to do this through the Harbor Committee or Planning Department, revisiting what type of activities we would allow in the town marina. Have you guys talked about that at all?
We have at the Harbor Commission, they actually adopted or you adopted a resolution on it, but we could readdress it. The east side is all for commercial fishing. The south side was designed for head boats, and then as long as you're a charter business on the west side, so you could, that's where there's a variety, more options, whether you're a dive boat or tour boat or fishing, charter fishing, there's a variety that are allowed there.
Like, for instance, the gentleman who came to us last month and wanted to do pedal water bikes.
That is a little bit outside the scope. If you're running a business where you have like multiple items in a slip, that's not something we typically, it's usually just one vessel.
Yeah, that was hydro bikes. That's right.
Right. So that would be a little unique. We haven't discussed that at Harbor Commission.
So if that were to come to planning, then the planning would probably go to the Harbor Commission and come to council to see if we wanted to allow that type of use.
Right.
And Ed, at the next Harbor Commission, are they going to revisit the suggestion, a resolution to change the way the town slips are filled? From
I imagine
from a
that would
lottery to something more of a point system, more merit-based selection.
That discussion, I imagine it could continue. It was voted down at the last meeting, but we only had minimum for a quorum, so we could bring it up again. All right, and I think that was it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Good update. Anything else? Okay. Yeah, we're going to move into public comment, a couple of rules of engagement. Kindly request 3 minutes when you speak. I have a list of folks who had signed up in advance. We'll start with that as we often do, and then I'll wave anybody up who wants to come up and talk to us. So beginning public comment, Bob Lanzoni. Bob, come on up, Bob. Please.
Yeah, our audience out in the internet
Hinterland.
cannot hear unless you're speaking into that mic.
But I was volunteering, Bob Ponzoni, I live on Canal. I was volunteering at Step Up for Soldiers at the lake, and a great group with Island Men and a great cause. One thing I did notice is that everybody was getting their barbecue in these little plastic cups, and they were taking them over, and next to the trash can there was a recycling bin, and I was glad to see that the town is putting recycling bins out there. But they say plastic on them, and the people were right to throw that trash in the recycling. I think that the town could consider putting bottles and cans on those recycling things, and it would clean up the refuse flow, because once food gets into it, it can't be used and it's discarded anyway, so it's really not doing any good. That was one thing. I think they could change the signage on that to just say bottles and cans. It's less ambiguous. While I'm up here and I've got your attention, I wanted to mention two other things. One thing I'd like to see is on the beaches. I'm retired and I'm a beachcomber. I pick up plastic on the beach. My wife makes me walk, and it's something to do.
Yeah.
But I would like to see some signage on the blue cans that say, please don't litter. I'd like to see it on the piers. One of the things I see a lot as you get closer to the pier is cigarette butts on the beach. And they're just being flicked off the pier, I would guess. But there are no signs up there for that. And also just some signs on the blue cans on the beach that say, please don't litter. If you ask people, you'll cut it down maybe 5%, 10%, but that's a start. And I think people from Iowa, they have no idea about the beach. They don't understand. It's flowing and it moves and it rises and it falls. I would also like to see trash cans on the street side, not just the beach side. And that way, because as I walk up to the beach, I see a lot of trash before I get to the beach, and it's already on the route of the garbage truck, so they could really just pick up another can.
Well, they do have at least at Ocean, we've got a substantial trash container.
Yeah, that may be. I get on at Starfish, and there's not one there. I would like to see a bench there so you can put your shoes back on, but that's another story. Another thing I'd like the town to address is dog poop. It's all over the place. It's not just ugly. It's in our food. If they close a beach because of it here, it's going to really impact revenue. I think that we really ought to crack down and make a fine. You know, if you just tell us.
There is a fine.
Well, we need to put a sign up so people are afraid of that fine. But right now, it's everywhere, and especially on the public access.
It's not only there, but it's in my neighborhood and everywhere I take my dog with my bags, and other people eat it. I've seen them lately. They'll put it in the bag
And leave it on the
and they'll leave it at the stop sign.
Exactly.
You think we have a poop patrol?
Exactly.
That's you. It's
Yeah,
not us.
I even thought about maybe, if we had a large fine, and you don't want to make Carolina Beach just, fines and signs and warnings, but if we had a large fine, we could actually, let's say $1,000 fine, up to $1,000 fine. I know you can't enforce it, but if you could make
Well, if we could catch enough people at 100, it would make a difference.
all right, and if you could say there's a bounty, if you get a deer motion camera and you know there's poop in your area and you put it up and you can help convict somebody in that fine, you get half the fine. It might incentivize someone.
The best idea I've heard with that was there's an apartment complex which required every pet owner to have their dog's DNA, and so if they found poop, they checked the DNA. They knew exactly who left it.
Right.
But that's a small space instead of a whole town where people can move as they want to. So
Anyway, that's all I'd like to say. I'd like the
appreciate it.
town to have better signage.
I have the same kind of
Yeah.
concerns.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
Sir, those are excellent points, all of the ones that you made. And I see Lucky over there taking notes because he actually, we had some discussions about the dog issue. Did you want to comment?
Yes, ma'am. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. He, he's instructed our police department to ticket harder
Excellent.
on that. And there has been some discussions about signage on the trash cans. I knew you knew what I was thinking, but we're going to find something that's appropriate that works for our blue cans.
Okay.
I hope Joe Dan's listening.
Please don't litter is probably sufficient, I think.
Yeah, I think if you just bring it to their attention, people will think, maybe.
You're right.
Anyway,
You're right.
Thank you for your time.
Well, maybe
Thanks,
some
Bob.
will.
Thank
That'll
you.
help. Thanks.
Joe Needham, who wants to discuss. Okay. That's fine because we'll have that's the only public hearing item tonight of
Yeah.
the nonprofit. Sarah Chasteen.
Good evening, Town Council and Mayor.
Hey, Sarah, could you?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
I was saying good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Very good.
I'm going to introduce myself briefly. This is the first meeting that I've been to, so that's good. My name is Sarah Chasteen. I'm a resident of Carolina Beach. I'm also a member of the Steve Haydu St. Patrick's Day Low Tide Fund Board of Directors. That's long. As a child, we often traveled to Carolina Beach for vacations from Charlotte. After high school, I went to Raleigh and graduated from NC State University. I worked in Raleigh for a few years before moving to Wilmington in 2008. My husband and I bought a house in Carolina Beach 4.5 years ago and have served on the board for 3 years. So tonight I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the C word. It's not the C word you're probably thinking, but let me tell you a story first. There was a man born on Carolina Beach, or born and raised on Carolina Beach. His name was Steve Haydu. Steve left briefly to complete a bachelor's degree in education from Appalachian State University. After returning home, he continued to work in the restaurant business and soon met his wife, Corey. Together, he and Corey partnered with a man named Dave and opened up the Ocean Grill and Tiki Bar. That's where they came to know and love a man named Tim Riley. Tim and his wife, Linda, shared a love for Carolina Beach. Together, they devoted much of their time for their 7 children and supporting human rights initiatives. When Tim's wife Linda lost a 5-year battle to cancer, Tim decided he wanted to champion some dreams and become more involved in road races throughout North Carolina and raising money. In 2004, Steve Haydu was diagnosed with cancer. With the pending birth of his son Jack, Steve was determined to fight this illness. Without health insurance, the battle became difficult. So Steve's friend Tim envisioned a fundraising event to aid people who were uninsured and fighting cancer. Most importantly, he wanted to share the love and hope and helping Steve family, and his community. An extraordinary group of people banded together that day to create such an important project right here in Carolina Beach. On March 19th, 2005, the first St. Patrick's Day low tide run was a wonderful success. I think there were like 170 something racers at the time. Unfortunately, Steve lost his battle to cancer a few months later, in May of 2005. The following year, the low tide run was renamed in Steve's honor. The community suffered another huge loss in August of 2006, when Tim Riley passed away unexpectedly while running on the beach. This unique Carolina Beach event is coming up on its 15th race. Steve and Tim's legacies provide aid and support to the lives of New Hanover County residents and their families who are battling cancer. This foundation is an all-volunteer organization. The board members meet throughout the year to organize events, including the main event this Saturday, the 5K and the 10K race. One of the positions I hold on the board is the recipient coordinator. This is the reason for the foundation, and which is perhaps why I'm the one who's speaking to you today. I have interviewed approximately 30 applicants since I joined the board, and it's not always easy. Cancer does not discriminate. I have met so many people from all walks of life, ages, and backgrounds. I just told myself I wasn't going to cry. I'm sorry. Who are fighting this ugly disease. There are children, teenagers, moms, dads, sisters, you name it. I have sat on the couch of a woman with pancreatic cancer who spent her career as a hospice nurse. She was given 7 months to live, and she sat there and told me that she was going to prove their doctors wrong. I've met a beautiful child with Down syndrome who suffered fractures in their bones due to chemotherapy. I have gotten to know a 41-year-old man with colorectal cancer that now has spread into his bones who sat across from me with his colostomy bag. 2 years, 5 surgeries later after his diagnosis, the diagnosis was supposed to be 1 surgery, chemo, and radiation. I have met a preschool teacher who caught a chest cold that didn't go away. She was diagnosed with lymphoma. And to hear her describe the joy that these children bring to her life is a lesson to not take anything for granted. And another one, a Carolina Beach resident who has been battling multiple myeloma for 4 years and has endured 2 bone marrow transplants. There's no cure for this type of cancer, but she keeps fighting. Most of these people cannot work through their treatments. This position is awesome, but obviously emotionally draining. And the moment when I present these people with a check, it's a moment I can't describe. To see the weight lifted off their shoulders is just something that I'll never forget. Some people cry, some people give me extended hugs, some people don't cry, some people, just give me a look of hope. In 2018, the low tide fund applicants were at an all-time high. Double the applicants that were received in 2017. No one has ever been turned away for assistance, but we came close last year. So this year we're reaching out to the town for a $5,000 grant. $5,000 can help multiple people. It can help cover 70% of our race t-shirts. It can help pay for someone's rent or mortgage for 5 months while they're doing chemo treatments. However you want to look at it, $5,000 can do a lot. All of the proceeds stay right here in New Hanover County. Now back to the C word that I was talking about earlier. There are many wonderful organizations in the world today. There are some that are fighting to find a cure for cancer, some that are helping the homeless, some that are helping animals, and others who are trying to save our oceans. They're all right here in Carolina Beach, all with their own unique missions. Whatever each mission is, We all have one mission in common, and that mission, it begins with community. Community is the C word that I wanted to talk to you about. We are part of this community. Your community may be big or small. It may look different than mine. Even the Carolina Beach Town Council has the same overall mission, and that mission is here to make the community a better place. And in the words of Helen Keller, alone we can do little, but together we can do so much. And I'd like to thank you for the consideration today for helping to fund our mission.
Thank you, Sarah. Right on. And congratulations on a 15th year. I'll be out running. Gail, Loretta, and Ked.
Are we
Mayor.
going into the funding request?
Oh,
or
we
what?
got
Yeah.
still on.
We just want to make certain that those that are coming up are here for public comment and that they understand that the next item will be the public hearing on the nonprofit funding request.
Yeah, if you'd rather, okay. Yeah, you guys can wait for that. So,
She made
yeah,
her
Bill Broker, this
presentation,
is
so
not
she's fine.
a, this is not a nonprofit. I hope I'm saying the last name right, sir. Did I get it close? How about just Bill, right?
I just had a quick question, and that was, is there any intention to move electric wires underground in Carolina Beach?
I know we've got an ad hoc committee that's looking at that
I
right
think
now.
that's Steve's
I
committee.
didn't catch the whole question.
The question was,
Speaking of Mike, and
am
the
I-
audience out in the world didn't hear it either.
okay, is that better?
Yeah, they didn't hear
Is
it.
there any plan or movement to push underground wires, electric wires underground, excuse me?
We have a committee looking at that.
Is there a
It's
time frame you're
quite
looking at for that?
expensive, but
And
they're
I can
looking
ima-
at it.
Because I just saw AT&T come through and they dug
That
everything
is
up.
fiber optics.
Yeah, but they dug everything.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's gonna be more wires underground and it's gonna be more complicated. I just
Well, it'll be a
wondering-
different wire, and it'll be hopefully a different location, because one's carrying a whole lot of power, and the fiber optics is not electrified.
Okay,
so to speak.
it's just a question. So it's being looked at?
We have a committee, an ad hoc committee that's looking at that possibilities.
Yeah, they just stood up, I think, 2 months ago. They're
Yeah, that we
relatively
just
fresh.
created a month or two ago.
Yeah, we've only had one meeting. We got another one later this month.
Are you on that, Ed?
I am.
Okay, so you're okay. And our council liaison is Steve Shuttleworth, so if he could probably give you some more information. And staff liaison is Ed, so we're probably just getting started with that, I'm guessing.
Yes, ma'am.
And the public's always welcome at any of the committee meetings.
Absolutely.
For sure, so.
When is
Yeah.
it, Ed? This gentleman might want to come.
I can get it for you if you shoot me an email, but I don't have it in front of me.
I have it on I signed an email in.
Okay.
I can shoot it. I'll keep it fine.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, moving into public hearings, of which we have, as mentioned earlier, just one, for the nonprofit funding requests. Do we typically, I don't remember from last year, invite up a rep from one of the organizations? Yes.
Yes, sir.
As we go down through the list, and I've got it right here in front of me. Okay. The Federal Point Historic Preservation Society, is any? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Darlene Bright. I live at
Mayor, Council.
407 Canal Drive. Can you hear me?
Open the public hearing before the presentations and just keep it open during.
Okay, that's true. Hold what you got right there. Motion to open public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
So I can start.
Now you can start. Thank you.
My name is Darlene Bright. I live at 407 Canal Drive, and I am the volunteer director for the Federal Point History Center, which is a function of the Federal Point Historic Preservation Society. And I'm here on behalf of the society to ask, request funding at $9,000, which would be used specifically for the operation of the History Center. We're located adjacent to the town hall. We are open Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 10 to 4. We have a monthly meeting every third Monday of the month. And with that said, this month, the 18th of March, we are celebrating 25 years. And we invite all of you and everybody here to our meeting. We'll have a program celebrating that 25 years that we've been operating. And our purpose is to bring people together that's interested in preserving and promoting and presenting the rich history of the Federal Point area. So
What time's your meeting on March 18th?
7:30.
And is that the same amount you requested last year?
No, it's a little more. So everything's gone up, and we've been working toward opening one more day of the week.
Okay. But you're 100% volunteers, correct?
We're all volunteers. We have 2 contractors that keep the center open and do a lot of things, but they might as well be volunteers because we don't pay them very much.
Like that. Well, y'all do an awesome job.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
And
very much.
I would really like to thank you for your support in the past, and we really look forward to a continued relationship.
Count on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I see Nancy, Pleasure Island Sea Turtle Project.
And while Nancy's coming up, just for the public, we have these funding requests from different organizations around town, and we'll take this back during our budget process, and we'll decide what we can afford. We won't vote on anything tonight, but we'll decide, you know, what we've done in the past and what we can do and that kind of thing. So you won't see anything tonight, but we'll do that in our upcoming budget meetings. Hey, Nancy.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good.
I am Nancy Basavny, and I'm the permit holder and coordinator for the Pleasure Island Sea Turtle Project. Our season is just around the corner. Come May 1st, we'll be driving the beach looking for turtle tracks. The bulk of the money that we get from the town goes for our vehicle and all of our nesting supplies that we use. We average about 10 to 12 nests a season, and we will follow the nest through until it hatches. We're there when they hatch. We also have a very active stranding team. So we use a lot of the money for our stranding gear. The turtles that don't make it, we do necropsies on, and the ones that are still alive, we transport up to the Sea Turtle Hospital. We also do divert some funds toward the Sea Turtle Hospital as well to help them out. We had a really good year last year until the hurricane hit. But we actually had our last 2 nests hatch after the hurricane, which was an absolute miracle. So, yeah. Carolina Beach ended on a really good note. So we're asking for $1,100 a month, which is the same amount that we've been asking in the past, and it will continue until the last nest is hatched.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy.
All right, thank you.
Friends of the Felines?
I'm Joey Needham with Friends of Felines, and we're coming back again with you. And this is Denise Anderson. She lives here on the island, and we've been here several years, and you guys have been very gracious to us. We are requesting again this year $3,000 to help the feral cats. We are a trap, spay or neuter, vaccinate, and return program for feral cats here in New Hanover County. The $3,000 is, of course, just used for Carolina Beach. We are a 100% nonprofit group, and we are 100% all volunteers. We have no paid employees. We use our own gasoline money. We use our own vehicles. We do everything on our own. We also help people who do not have enough money to also help them support food for their animals, for their cats, and also, like on the island, when we do this, we reduce the nuisance complaints. When I first started doing this over 20 years ago, I used to get a number of complaints here on the island. And I see that Loretta's over here too with Pleasure Island Paws. And nuisance complaints, she will be able to validate that they get nuisance. I'm sure they get nuisance complaints, and everybody got nuisance complaints. They have been dramatically reduced because we're here, we're up front, we want to work with people. And last year we fixed with the money about 120 cats.
How many?
120.
Just in Carolina Beach?
In Carolina Beach. And that is a drop in the bucket. There are more than that need to be fixed. So that's, again, a drop in the bucket. So there are, we've taken out cats, kittens. As a matter of fact, kittens, we have Sue and Dale, who happen to be here for a different reason, who fostered for us for some kittens that we pulled off of one of the streets over by the lake. And there's several areas that are highly concentrated with cats. Other areas, not so much because we've worked those areas quite a bit. But we are here, like I said again, to ask for the 3,000 we asked for last year so that we can continue the reduction of nuisance complaints, the reduction of dead cats on the road, the reduction of kittens in underneath people's porches, and that are also unwanted and will end up with disease or upper respiratory infection and die. And we are trying to reduce the overpopulation of those feral cats.
What do you do with them after you catch them? You spay and neuter, and then what do you do with them?
Return.
To the location you
Yes.
found them?
Yes. We'll
I'm sure.
There's too many. There's
Yeah.
thousands of them, yeah. And since we do New Hanover County and everyone, but yeah. The kittens, if they're young enough, we do work with adoption groups.
Okay.
Who, that's why we have the fosters that will foster them, tame them, and then we work with the adoption groups who then will adopt them out, like at PetSmart, Petco, Pet Supermarket, Pet Sense, you know, all those locations. But we work with them, and last year I think we gave them, the different groups, over 300 kittens from the areas, not just Carolina Beach, but from the areas. But I mean, in one area here, I think we took out like 20-some kittens in one area.
So you do, there are some places, concentrations of
Yes.
where you find them. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. And, you know, we try to get all of them, but some of them are quite savvy. Sometimes the caretakers decide they don't want to, you know, they're tired, and we go over and we trap, and there's more than one feeder. We can't find everyone. And we try not to have that cycle start all over again, because then, you know, one mom cat, she will produce 4 kittens, 2 males, 2 females. You know, less than 6 months later, they're starting to reproduce. So you can do the math on that, and it's not good.
But I did read in your package that the number of complaints is down.
Oh, yes.
So
It is
good
definitely
trend.
down. Yeah, it's definitely down. When I first started this, I used to get calls personally from the police chief. And he would say, hello, guess what? It's me again, and, you know, we've got some issues. And I don't get that now, which is a nice thing. So,
That's good.
and we do work with New Hanover County Animal Services on complaints, or if they see someplace, like in Carolina Beach or wherever, if they see someplace that's highly concentrated or have gotten a complaint, they'll come and see us. They'll come and ask us to help.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
No?
Thanks a
Okay.
lot.
Thank you.
So Katie B. Hines Senior Center.
I wish we had a group that got raccoons. They're all over the beach. Do you really? Oh, jeez. They're tough to catch, too. Yeah. Well,
So
I
I
didn't
get-
know that, so that's good to know. I didn't know you would catch raccoons.
I guess there's no one from the Senior Center? Katie B. Hines. Okay. Friends of Fort Fisher. Very well. Carolina Beach Inlet Association.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Jarvis.
How y'all doing?
Real good.
Good, good. Thank you for your support of our meetings. I'm Jarvis Wise with the Carolina Beach Inlet Association. The Carolina Beach Inlet Association is requesting funds in the amount of $7,500 to continue to implement our educational goals. The CBIA continues to demonstrate the benefits of the Carolina Beach Inlet to New Hanover County and surrounding areas. We do this through a number of ways. The CBIA holds regular monthly meetings at the American Legion Town Hall in Carolina Beach. The cost of our meetings are about $50 for the hall. The CBIA joins the North Carolina Beach Inlet and Waterway Association with Oak Island. The cost is $250. The CBIA regular prints copies of studies for educational packets for meetings. The CBIA requires association member applications, brochures, bumper stickers, and door stickers to be printed. The CBIA pays for secretarial duties for membership renewals, minutes, mailings, etc. The CBIA 2 times sponsors legislative breakfast meetings at the state capitol in Raleigh, North Carolina. And additionally, we funded UNCW economist Chris Dumas, or Dr. Chris Dumas, to attend legislative breakfast. That cost $625. CBI maintains the post office box rental and annual accounting fees. The CBIA has several funding events and functions such as Seafood Blues, Jazz Festival, Step Up for Soldiers, Chili Cook-Off, Godamon, Carolina Beach and Curry Beach Fire Department, King Mackerel Tournament, the Carolina Beach Pier Chowder Cook-Off, which requires tents, brochures, banners, and posters. The Carolina Beach Inlet Association is a nonprofit 501c3 educational group organization. Our goal is to educate the public and politicians on the importance of keeping the North Carolina shallow draft inlets dredged for safe navigation. We want to thank you for your cooperation in the past, and we're requesting the $7,500. Do you have any questions?
Questions, Jarvis? Yeah. Now, your meetings are also open to the public.
Open to the public.
Lots to learn about shallow draft dredging and the economic impact of keeping that inlet navigable.
Yeah, we have done 2 impact studies. One, it impacted the general scope of business, where we did prove that every dollar invested was a return of about $27 to $32 to the community. We also did a real estate impact study this year that shows that the average home that was directly affected would be reduced in value by about $70,000.
Significant.
Thank you for your support.
Jarvis, do you want to comment on you were having a chowder cook-off this weekend and it has been postponed?
I'm sorry, yes. Due to some illness of our manager of that project, we've had to put that off, and it'll be rescheduled, and we'll announce that.
So no chowder cook-off this weekend?
No chowder cook-off this weekend.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
No, thanks, Jarvis.
Thank you for your support.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
Island of Lights. We have a rep from the Island of Lights.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Frances Massey, President of the Island of Lights. This is Debbie Sullivan, our treasurer. We're here, first of all, I want to thank the Police Department, Public Works Department, Eric and his crew from Parks and Rec for helping us with our events this year. We are asking for $8,000 again. We've asked for that same amount several years now. All of our events are geared toward promoting tourism at a time. Let me start over. We started 29 years ago, and for those of you that have lived down here as long as I have, Labor Day, Carolina Beach closed up. And so when we started, our purpose was to promote tourism during a time from, say, Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve. Our events do that, and we enjoy doing them. But we do thank you and everybody in the town for helping us. Any questions?
We enjoy them.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Awesome.
Thanks, Debbie, Francis. And the Help Center. A rep from the Help Center?
Yep.
Oh, hey, Lori.
There's Laura.
I'm Laurie Taylor, and thank you for inviting me tonight. And I'm with the Help Center and have been with them for 34 years. This year, the Help Center was able to help with disaster relief. You know, the town had the goods, and we helped distribute and worked diligently with everybody. And we were thankful that we could help. Right now, we're working on the displaced families that are, I guess they were taken down by the storm, and we are continuously doing unusual projects this year. It's not just food, it's not just rent, but a lot of the insurances did not cover water damages if it didn't come inside. And it would cover the underneath joists, but not the subfloor. The subfloors absorb moisture. And so we're very thankful this year. We've been able to keep a young lady in her house by having construction individuals to help us free of charge. And they ripped up floors and put subfloors in for this family. And the cost was so little, but the insurance wouldn't cover it. And now she has a floor that she won't fall through. Now this construction
construction worker had a little difficulty. He did fall through. You know, it just collapsed with him. But now she has a home, and they're getting ready to work in her kitchen to help replace that subfloor. And people have just donated their time. We also have families that are having to stay in other locations like motels. They have nowhere else to go until all these insurance companies come through and provide the money so that they can have a roof. And the indoors of some of these places are kind of sad. Right now I have a lady that has not been able to get any help whatsoever, and her flooring in her, I guess you might say, her utility area is sinking. There's mold all through her house. Her roof is leaking. Her air conditioners are no longer working. She had a lot of water damage, and she sleeps in her living room at this time. She can't go into other rooms too much because there's too much mold. FEMA couldn't help her, and we're still trying to figure out how we're going to help her. Last year we managed to help close to 5,000 individuals, and that's not just with rent, it's with food. And during Christmas we were able to feed 150 families, which totaled close to 400 individuals. Our food pantry is plentiful, thanks to the community for providing food and the local churches that help. And this year we're very grateful for all the help and assistance that we have received, and special donations and things to help us, get through some of the unusual tasks that we're doing. It is an adventure, because I have never thought about construction. That's the last thing off my mind right now. But I'm learning quickly that people need other help besides food and rent. And, with several of the places that were low rental were condemned and torn down. One of them's already been torn down. That eliminated a lot of families, places to stay. But I've been able to locate quite a few of them and making sure that they're okay. And it took some tracking down to try to find where they were. But they're still not permanently located, and even some of those that were relocated in a new place, the place caught on fire. And now they're back in motels again trying to survive until the landlord can get the location repaired. So Help Center is just asking, for $5,000 or whatever is available for us. We're thankful for anything that the town provides, and we're thankful to serve the community. I'm thankful to live here. I've lived here a long time, so I'm glad to be here. But I am a native of Carolina Beach.
Well, Miss Lori, you and your organization have done a phenomenal job for the citizens of Carolina Beach for a long time. And I don't know how you've done it as well as you have without any help in the past, because I know you have more of a strain on it this year because of the hurricane, because I've seen the same families that you're talking about that are displaced.
Some of them, don't you?
I've seen them, yeah. And it's tough, and you guys work tirelessly for the people.
Well, we're working closely with the Island Cottage also, because they provide vouchers, and she'll be up here to talk to you soon, but there's a lot that's gone through that store to help people in the community also. And she'll tell you about the time of the hurricane and things that took place, and how they were also able to jump in and help Center too, provide a lot of things for families that have lost everything. And families are still trying to recover. The houses look beautiful on the outside. It's the inside. Because, even my family experienced some inside situations. And it took a while to get it all repaired. And water's no fun inside of a house. Not a bit. But we do thank you for everything.
It was good to talk to you a month ago and
It was good to talk to
tee that up.
I had to figure out, now, who's calling me?
Who's that? Devin.
But thank you.
You're welcome, Lori.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Lori.
Thanks for your work.
Pleasure Island Pause. I see Ked back there. Loretta, how do you like retirement?
All I know now is they're picking up raccoons. So,
Hi, my name is Loretta Gunner. I've been on the boardwalk for almost 47 years, and I just sold, retired, semi-retired. I'm the president of Pleasure Island Pause, have been since 2011. I'm also registered with the wildlife. I'm a licensed wildlife person, rescuer. So if you need me, give me a buzz.
I will.
And Kid, I work with Kid a lot. Kid does a lot of work for me, and she's my secretary, so I'll let her talk.
I'm the secretary treasurer for Pleasure Island Paws, and Kid originally started in like 2004, and Loretta and I took it over in 2011, and we have been catching and spayed and neutered cats on this island since 2001, and most of it's just come out of pocket. We are totally volunteers. Until we started with Pleasure Island Paws, we've worked with Friends of Felines in the past too, quite a bit, in getting control of all of the cat population around here. We have noticed after the hurricane that some people that were misplaced just left cats behind. So we have found a few of those. We found a few other locations where there's one home that has like 18 cats around it. We've got cats. Now. Before it gets out of control again. If you can keep control of it, it helps tremendously. I know years ago people used to complain, and I don't think they complain so much now that they realize they keep the wharf rats away. And we've seen quite a few of those on the boardwalk before we had the cats. And they're ugly 12-inch, 2-pound. They will tear up a building. They will cut through your water lines, everything. But what we're asking for is $3,000 to work just on the island, to work with the cats to spade and neuter and relocate them, and food.
We do dogs.
And we take care of dogs. In our mission statement, it says that we assist residents that don't have enough money, that need help with their cats or their dogs, with maybe assistance with a surgery or some food or something like that. And we work with them on that. But mainly what the money that we're asking for you was mainly for the cats. Keep control of them, because we still have some more we found on the boardwalk now. That's where we first started. We found our first 9 cats from Putt-Putt, the boardwalk. And Ked was one of the first doctors that worked with us.
And I handed the flag over to him, so he feeds them now. Like that.
Yes. And she got a phone call
It's in the contract, right?
morning that the cats hadn't been fed yet, and she called him and told him to get his skinny behind up there. So, but they are being taken care of. And the cats do control a lot. Occasionally, you will see a possum up there, and they control snakes. You know, they keep a lot of rodents and things like that away from the businesses, and they have not caused any problem with people. I haven't heard anybody complain in years about cats. So, but we still have some other areas that we do need to work on, and people do they think kittens are cute, but when they leave, they do tend to leave them behind, and then we end up with them. And there are cases where we can relocate them if we have to.
You can tell them what we do, what we pay to have done. You can tell them what we pay to have done.
Yeah.
Well, to spay them or neuter them, I think it's $35, and that includes that.
Well, that's a
They
good
get
deal.
everything.
And we have our own cages that we trap them. We keep them covered so that they're nice and calm. Once they're spayed and neutered, we will keep them and for 24 hours to make sure that they're okay before we release them. They will stay covered, and to make sure that they're warm and that they stay calm.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank y'all
Thanks,
very
guys.
much.
All right, Ked, good to see
Appreciate
you. And we have one last, but I think
I think we heard that presentation.
you're good. You don't have to get
You
up.
don't
You're-
have
Yeah,
to-
yeah. I was just gesturing that you've given,
Thank you.
gave a great presentation, and thank you again for that. The public hearing is still open, so if any member of the public wants to talk about a nonprofit, because that's what we're strictly discussing right now, you may approach council if you'd like. Ma'am? And please let Ms. Kim Ward know your name and address.
Yes, I'm Charma McKnight, 400 Virginia Avenue, 102A, Carolina Beach. I thought maybe I'd follow Miss Lori, because I'm the president of the Island Cottage Board.
Yes.
We sent in a letter, and I think as you well know, we support the Help Center. So all of our proceeds go to the Help Center, and we're able to provide them a monthly check every year. We're the little blue cottage over by the post office. And Lori mentioned what happened with the Help Center after the storm, and we opened up our doors for the month of September into October and gave over 4,000 pieces of clothing, shoes, linens, blankets, kitchen, whatever families were needing to come in. And it was all by word of mouth. We got so many donations. We got donations from New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and it was a great feeling to be able to do that. But that's what we do over there. But we're requesting, I think you have a letter that we sent in, approximately $7,000 to help with the buildings over there. We had some shingles off the roof, some leakage around the chimneys. We have 2 windows upstairs that need to be replaced and some drywall. And it's just because that's an old building there. We also have the sheds that you so graciously gave us. We're getting some leakage in there. And so therefore we can't keep items too long in there. We've gone in, cleaned out, we've tried to maintain. But that's mainly what we're looking at, is the safety of our overall building for our customers to come in, and then to maintain so that we can store. And again, it's just a great sense of accomplishment to work with Lori and the Help Center, and through donations from the church and other people just donating a couple fundraisers, we're now renovating the bathroom. But I don't want you to come yet. Okay? So we'll let you know when we've got that done. So thank you for it.
Please do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed, just a question, if you could, or Jeremy, if you could refresh my memory. When we bought that property beside the post office, we didn't buy the building where they are
We bought
located.
the building too, I thought.
That's what I'm asking. Do we own that building? Where they're located? Okay.
Yeah, so we should be making the repairs as the landlord.
So we own the building. So if we could maybe take a look at whatever repairs that need to be, I guess, done to that building, and we provide that free for their services. Correct?
Yeah.
They do have a lease.
We do have
Okay.
a lease.
So maybe we are landlords. Well, I guess we need to take a look at it.
Sure.
I thought I vaguely remembered we purchased that building.
Yeah, we did. Well, we bought the barrier bridge property. That came with it.
Any other member of public would like to talk about
Have
the
insurance on
nonprofit?
that building.
I believe we do. We should
Probably need to look
Going-
at that. If that was storm damage, we need to file an insurance claim on that property.
Yeah, it might be.
No other member to talk about?
Sorry.
Citizen rather to talk about the nonprofits? Okay. With that, I'll motion to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Chief, do you present the flooding traffic ordinance? It's got you down as prepared by, maybe that's, you prepared it, Dale's going to come and present it. Chairman of the Canal Drive Flood Committee.
Mayor, we had Mr. Dale was going to give an education overview of the code, and we still had a couple of modifications we're going to make, but we were just going to do some education tonight and then have it on your workshop for adoption.
Great. Good.
Okay.
The spirit of it, Reddit, it's on the any official might almost sounded like deputizing. I know you and I talked about that.
Right. No, we understand that, and we'd rather have it as a committee. We'd rather have it all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed. So we're in good. I did bring, Kim, do you have the slides that I brought? Are they still up there? I hope.
Are they under the council meeting?
I think it may be. That's when it was originally scheduled. At any rate, I brought some. Hopefully, we have some slides of the non-storm event to illustrate what we're talking about here as far as the street flooding and why this ordinance is. We're looking for this ordinance. Nope. Looks like we didn't make it in there. That is definitely not it. At any rate, the town has spent a lot of work effort on this particular problem over the years, including some routing and some signage and specialty items that have been incorporated into the area for specific to Canal Drive and specific to Florida. The ordinance that we're proposing and the one we're recommending adoption on takes a look at the broader scale for traffic control during flooding throughout the town. And one of the things that was missing from the previous application was that there was no enforcement vehicle for our police officers to write citations for violations that cause damage in the area. So that's what this ordinance is set up for. And there's a few items just to cover the features that the committee worked on, and in particular with Chief Spivey and his group. One was it's not our objective is not to make money off of this. What we want to do is educate the public, and for those people that really come in and cause an issue through we need a vehicle for some kind of fining capacity. So that's what this does. It gives that local fining capacity back to the town, provides for that. The fines that are in there are proposed through your normal citation process. So these are not an inordinate levels of fining. It is a town-wide ordinance because this problem for high water traffic encroachment not only on Canal and on Florida, but we also have the similar situation up on Dow Road. So this is a complete town ordinance. A little here, but the routing recommendations that we're working on or that we have made currently during the flooding events, there's a barrel barricade set down the center of the road and a series of barricades that are put out with warning signs on it, and then there's three drop arms on Canal Drive and a series of flip signs, all of which take quite a bit of effort for operations to set up. So what the committee is recommending is that the signage that goes on the barricades be a little larger, and the colors that go on there will match. Oh, good, we got it.
Yeah, we got
Perfect.
it.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't think you'd seen it yet.
I hadn't. Thank you very much.
Trying to hide over that one.
Did we roll through any of the other ones there on the photos, or did we just end up with that?
Different one.
That's it?
I think we got them.
Yeah, I think it has more of them.
They're not going to be in there. That's for the workshop presentation. But we can look at the signs. There we go. These are the existing signs and existing facilities that are out there. The barrel barricades, you can see them sitting off to the side there. Those take roughly an hour to put out and about an hour to get back in for one man. We're recommending not doing that at all. We're recommending that the flip signs over here on the bottom left-hand side, that those be removed also for the following reason, that they're required to open and close. Most of the time they're left open. So during non-flooding events, we're notifying drivers that the streets are closed. So the approach that we would recommend is to just remove those out takes it out of the way. We're done with it. The barricades are working fine. And there are three locations on that. We're recommending that those stay. However, we are recommending that the M3 barricades, that's the one up on the upper left-hand side, that be replaced with larger signage, and then if we can roll that sign back out. It's it's the next, right. There you go. Okay. The changes that we're recommending is, one, that instead of just saying that it's flooded, that we're notifying drivers that the street is closed during that time. And that it's closed for salt water, because a lot of people that aren't familiar with it don't understand that it's salt water, and that's where the issues are coming from. And then I don't know what will happen on the fine portion, but there'll be a reference on there to the code once it's passed. Then we're recommending that the top sign will be on the M3 barricades that are on the cross streets. So Seahorse, Starfish, Periwinkle, those cross streets coming from Carolina Beach Avenue North over to Canal Drive. And then the orange sign on the bottom, those are located behind the barricades, because currently we have a lot of traffic that are driving around the barricades. This will emphasize that no, you're not supposed to drive in there. The discretionary elements on this driving is that residents are there that live on Canal Drive, that have to get there for emergency reasons, or they just get stranded. They can drive through there as long as they too conform to the desire here to not create the wakes that are through there. So that's essentially what we have. We're excited to have it come up as our first work product. It'll come up to you, and we are recommending approval. Thank you.
Thanks, Dale.
Are you guys looking for a vote on this, or are you just presenting?
No, ma'am.
To the workshop.
We still have a few minor tweaks to make to the code, and we'll bring it back to the workshop.
And my only comment for you to think about is this $500 fine. I want to see how that relates to other fines around town, because I don't think we have one that high.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm asking, but look into that. I think 250, Chief, was what we talked about was the highest one. Okay.
Okay.
You just let us know that.
In officer's discretion, the fine based on a perceived amount of damage done in terms of a wake, or is that how
I
will
don't
that
think
be?
that's how it works.
Yeah.
Miss Attorney.
We're probably not going to leave the size of the wake to the discretion of the officer, but we're going to bring it back at a workshop.
So it's either going to be a ticket or not a ticket.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about that at the work.
Okay. Good job, Dale. Though I mean,
Thanks,
we'll get this done.
Thanks.
Moving on to the next item of business, the conditional use permit extension for a retail store located at 1000 and 1010 North Lake Park Boulevard.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Yes, once a conditional use permit is issued, it does have an expiration date if no construction has started specific to that project within a 2-year period from when it was granted. The ordinance does allow for council to grant an extension to that permit for up to 12 months, and representing the property is here tonight to request a 12-month extension to the conditional use permit. That's for a grocery store and a fuel center at that location. The permit was issued originally, it was April of 2017. So if it is set to expire, no construction, no permits have been issued for that site, has started. It would expire this year in April. An 12-month extension would continue it to 2020 of April. I'll answer any questions you may have.
What's the precedence, Jeremy, for the town granting approval for extending a CUP?
So I went back 15 years, and there's been 8 requests to extend a conditional use permit, and 7 of those were approved.
Was there a reason that one of them wasn't?
It was a prior council that approved it. It was 6 years ago when it was considered for an extension, and there it was in the boardwalk. It was by the gazebo, and some of the right-of-way was being requested to be closed for that specific project. That the council at that time just has some concerns with about moving forward with that project.
Okay.
So just a question, if it's extended for a year, is the ability to extend it for continuing years?
There's
Or
not. So you just get one 12-month
You
extension.
get one more chance.
And then
and 1
if
year.
you have not started construction on that project, then the permit expires. And if you want to continue with that project, you would have to come back through the conditional use permit process.
And so what constitutes starting construction?
Permit is issued, and you've started something coming out of the ground.
Foundation or something? Okay.
Grading.
Okay.
So we have a rep from Jubilee.
You waited patiently all night.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council member peers. My name is Dan Smith. I'm with the law firm of Brooks, Pierce, McClendon, Humphrey & Leonard in Greensboro. I'm here on behalf of Jubilee seeking this 12-month extension. The standard under your ordinances is good cause, and we believe we have good cause for this extension. Michael Lee is the attorney that filed the extension request. He wasn't able to be here tonight, which is why I'm here. By its terms, the permit's going to expire on April 11th, 2019. But as you're probably aware, this permit has been pretty contentious and is involved in litigation. In fact, today we learned that the case has been set to be heard by the North Carolina Court of Appeals on April 10th, the day before the expiration. Harris Teeter is committed to the site. It's invested $5.2 million in purchasing the property and its engineering and architectural plans in the zoning and permitting to date, but as you're probably aware, has had some difficulty with interconnectivity with the adjacent parcel. And Harris Teeter needs that interconnectivity so that it can get its delivery trucks in. If it can't get its delivery trucks in, it's not going to spend the $12.4 million to construct the store and go forward. So that question of interconnectivity is what the lawsuits are all about, and that is what is causing the delay. You can't put the capital investment in there if you don't have the interconnectivity. It may be that we're never able to do this because we never get the interconnectivity, but that's not really for this body to decide. That's for the courts. It's higher up. And I will say, the reason we're requesting this from the town, I mean, we could go to court, we could file a declaratory judgment action. There's precedent when you're tied up in litigation that you can go and have the permit tolled, T-O-L-L-E-D, just straight out 4 or 5 years, because you're going up to the Court of Appeals, up to the Supreme Court, and courts respect the fact that no one wants to invest millions of dollars, no business owner, if they can't have what they need to develop. And so we're here tonight to ask for this 12-month extension under your ordinances for good cause, and hopefully we'll either know from the courts whether we're going to be able to proceed or not. But we think this is a good way, for your responsibility to town. We don't have to go to court to try and get this. We can just get the 12-month extension here and see how the lawsuits play out in the next 12 months. So I am happy to answer any questions that y'all may have.
Not from me. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Well, with that, I make a motion to grant a 12-month conditional use permit extension for a retail store located at 1000 and 1010 North Lake Park Boulevard to expire on April 11th, 2020. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion passes. Okay. Non-agenda. Oh, sorry.
We moved that
Oh,
item
yes,
from the
right. Yep. We moved it from 4, correct.
to 7C.
Right.
I asked you, Mayor, to pull
You
that
did.
from the consent agenda because, as the gentleman has just indicated, we have now a Court of Appeals argument scheduled for April 10th, which would be the morning after your regular council meeting. We do have on the April 9th agenda, or we will have what should be a conditional use permit, and I think that probably requires the town attorney to be here. I'll probably be stressing and Raleigh getting prepared to argue against the gentleman that just spoke. So I did speak with the three of you. I've also reached out to Councilmember Shutterworth and Councilmember Garza regarding, and the town manager about rescheduling the town council meeting for the Monday, the 8th, rather than
The 9th.
Tuesday, the 9th. And so if y'all are in agreement to do that, we would need to advertise the conditional use permit that was listed on 3B for April the 8th rather than April the 9th.
Okay. And Steve and Joe Dan came back with no issues on their end, or?
Haven't heard back.
Haven't heard
yet.
back, but you got a quorum
got
here, three that
yeah.
say it's okay. So I'm going to motion to.
We'll let them know what we decided.
Yeah. I'm going to motion to change the date to Monday. Okay. Well, with that, I make a motion to change the next regular town council meeting from Tuesday, April 9th, 2019 at 6:30 to Monday, April 8th, 2019 at 6:30.
Along with this public.
Along with the public hearing to consider a conditional use permit for Wake and Bake to serve alcohol at 1401 North Lake Park, Boulevard Unit 46. The applicant is Wake and Bake LLC. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. On agenda. I'm sure we have a few. I didn't get any from Joe Dan. He promised to send me a mountain of them, but I did not.
Yeah, just a couple things. Are you asking for,
The beach
well,
town
Yes.
meeting.
for our Wrightsville Beach meeting, our meeting in Wrightsville Beach? Couple of things. Talked to Councilman Shuttleworth, who is on the Ports and Waterway Committee. He would like to, we would all like to probably talk about a possible marketing cap, a cap on the marketing funds for our back end, our second 3%. And we have talked about that a little bit, so maybe we could, are you getting this, Kim? Yeah, okay. Maybe a cap on the marketing dollars in the second 3%. I assume we're going to talk about that sales tax that you discussed with Mayor Sappho.
Yep, the 1% tax.
And, we wanted
Consumption tax.
to talk about, where that money would go and who would hold those funds. Would they come back to Carolina Beach for our discretionary use, or are they going to end up in a pot in the county? So those were.
I don't know whether he's talked to Chairman Barfield yet, but that's
Okay.
a good time to bring it up.
Okay. And just maybe some, conversations about the sand fund, the county sand fund, and how it's distributed and who decides where that money goes and who gets what, that kind of thing. We'd probably like to talk about.
Yeah, I think an item that touches all three communities is we're anticipating an outcome, a final decision on the BRER for the next that's the beach renourishment essentially project that would extend us, Carolina Beach, Curie Beach, Wrightsville, beyond the current renourishment out 15 years for every 3 years. So that would be good. I think Steve was under the impression that was going to come in May or June of this year. Decision made at the federal level. So that would be good. And Leanne, was Steve specific about a reduction in the cap? Was he thinking maybe a suggestion to reduce the 50-50 on activities and advertising to maybe 40 on advertising?
No, we have talked about this before at TDA, and it's came up that there'd be a possibility, instead of changes in legislation, that we would talk about a cap on those marketing funds that we're spending in the second 3%.
And that's because it would require both
but-
House and Senate.
Right, and I don't think it's anything that we can change, but we'd like to kind of maybe cap the spending on that marketing dollar.
Right.
So that
Well,
was
that-
just some topics we thought we'd add to the agenda
Tom, do you have?
for Wrightsville Beach.
No, I don't have any.
I do have one more thing. I think we probably really need to look into that Island Cottage building issue. If they're asking for $7,000 for building repairs, that's repairs we should probably be making. And I don't even know if we had an insurance adjuster go look at that property. So I don't know if it's too late, but it sounded like storm damage from what she was saying. So let's take a look at that.
We gave them those.
I was kind of hoping it might be.
storage kits.
I was kind of hoping
They
it
may
might
not
be
in
anyway.
Good a shape. We might need to. Maybe we can get
7,000's a lot. They've
from
never
that.
asked us for anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, lucky there was just two things. Might be a challenge with NCDOT, but a weather station mounted at the top of snow's cut to get an accurate assessment on the winds as opposed to somewhere else when considering closing the bridge. Whatever that limit might be, 45, maybe 50, whatever it may change, as you pointed out, Ed. And then
don't we have that?
not at the top of
Wind
the bridge,
meter?
though.
Oh.
Yeah, DOT would have to give us permission.
Yeah. So, yeah, and the last one was the stormwater monitoring system, similar to what USGS does for rivers. If such a thing exists, might be able to ID some of the storm pipes and issues that, clog up flow rates and everything.
How are we getting the wind speed now on the bridge?
We have to send somebody up there with a handheld monitor.
Okay.
Therein lies the issue. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't realize we were doing that, but okay.
So 18th century.
Well, that
But yeah,
shouldn't
you
be
see
too
how
long.
that. Yeah,
So do y'all draw
It makes sense,
straws
you
and
know.
who's got to go out there?
I'll send Jeremy.
Ah, okay. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
But we do have the new weather station that we've installed at Sandpiper. So we have that and new systems or new interfaces for the fire and wastewater treatment plant, but we don't have something on the bridge.
Maybe DOT might reconsider traffic light based on the road study, North Lake Park. One could only hope.
Well, I actually think I forgot to copy you on that, but we got some results back from that. I'll send you that as well. We probably need to try to decipher that. How in the world did they come up with? Did you understand my email that I sent to you? Did you see it
Which one?
this morning? Okay.
Maybe.
So, yeah, it was early this morning. I couldn't sleep, but so we did get we got some information back from DOT that they did not think we qualified at Winter and Lake Park. Well, I think I copied you on that, Lucky. Did you
I'll
get
look
it?
into it
Okay.
more, ma'am.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to look through the statistics yet, but we didn't qualify at Lake Park and Winter, but we did qualify at Hamlet and Lake Park. We went out with the Bike Ped Committee, went out with DOT and Jerry and Brian, and that was kind of the result that just came back. So I don't understand why we qualified for one and not the other, and what is the criteria, and I mean, what do we have to do to qualify for the other location?
Okay.
How far away are we from the other location?
All right. I do remember now.
Okay.
By their standards, it's typically every quarter mile on a stretch of road like that for a traffic light. So that was what was.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't even think that that attachment had those statistics or what we didn't have in it.
Probably just need to go back and
I didn't
clarify
really
with Stoney
understand it.
and see what he.
Okay.
Oh, there is one more thing. Sound like Joe Dan here. When we met with Julie about the green options, and I asked briefly about the 1700 block, the restroom there, that's already progressing towards some kind of a.
Yes, sir. And I don't have an update because I didn't talk to Brian today, but we were putting that out to bid, and we were thinking we did design a stormwater infiltration out in front of that 1708 bathroom facility, so we would have that in place.
Okay.
So I think our stormwater guys can install it.
Just the tip of the iceberg for some green infrastructure ideas or
Right.
options. Yeah. Right. Okay. Anything else? Got no.
I think this is Lucky's first council meeting.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, I had, and for carrying the load, Ed, for 6 months. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there was nobody in this room more eager to. Anyway, I don't.
He did have a big smile. on his
Well, I
face.
can tell you guys in the public that Lucky has hit the ground running. You've been here about 3 weeks,
Yeah.
2 weeks, something like that, and we've all met with Lucky and had individual meetings, and he's got a lot of great ideas for our community, and I'm sure you're going to find you'd be very satisfied with his results. So.
Thank you.
And before too long, to Leanne's point, you're going to have how are you going to do it, Lucky? Do you want to take one person with you from maybe finance or these departments and go out and have a listening and speaking?
Yes, sir. The intent is to have a listening session, 4 listening sessions. One will be with finance, one will be with public safety, another will be with operations, and one with mayor or any council member. Different locations to be determined to get a general sense of community needs. they can interact directly with the town manager and staff, and come back to help shape your strategic priorities.
Awesome. Great. Welcome aboard, Lucky. Okay, with that, I make a motion to go into closed session to discuss an attorney-client matter, a real estate matter, and a personnel matter in accordance with NCGS 143-318.11A35 and 6. The real estate matter includes properties located at 310 Canal Drive and 601 Carolina Sands Drive for the purpose of parking and access. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.